It was 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was reading the morning paper when my associate informed me we had a new case. The American burying beetle had gone missing. We searched everywhere we thought they might be, but we came up with nothing. I called some acquaintances around the country to hear the same story. The beetles seemed to have vanished into thin air. The American burying beetle used to be found all over the eastern United States, but now they can only really be found in some parts of Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Rhode Island. The American burying beetle was listed as endangered under the Endangered Species Act in 1989. This orange-spotted beetle can detect decaying flesh almost 2 miles away. This ability comes in handy when looking for a meal to share with a mate. As a nocturnal insect, the beetle appears at night looking for small animal carcasses such as birds and mice to feed on. Having found a suitable carcass, the pair of beetles mate and move their meal into their underground chamber. The beetles get underneath the carcass upside down and inch the body over them with their legs like a conveyor belt. Once inside the chamber, the pair feeds, and the female lays her eggs in the decaying carcass, preserving the dead animal with chemical secretions. The larvae will hatch and feed on their parents' leftovers, eventually learning to perform the same process. The American burying beetle helps keep pest insects from using animal carcasses to reproduce, which helps stop the spread of diseases to humans and livestock. These beetles help return nutrients to the soil by aiding the process of decomposition and aerating the soil, both of which benefit plants that use that soil. Burying beetles can also help solve crimes. Forensic entomologists can use the appearance of beetles on dead bodies to estimate time of death. The chemical secretions the beetles use to preserve buried carcasses are being studied for medical use and food storage. Overall, American beetle populations are good indicators of the health of the environment. When the beetles are doing well, the environment is doing well. Losing these beetles means losing a healthy environment for animals and humans. So what caused these beetles to go missing? My associate and I scoured through thousands of files and documents searching for answers. Habitat destruction and lack of suitable food sources are likely to blame. American burying beetles like to live in forests, wetlands, and grasslands and need smaller carcasses to mate. There could only be one perpetrator: humans. Deforestation, industrial agriculture, oil and gas drilling, and climate change all lead to disruption of habitats and food sources. Deforestation leads to declining bird populations and increased competition for their smaller carcasses. Agriculture can limit available ground for beetles to live and inadvertently kill burying beetles with insecticides meant for pest insects. Oil and gas industries commonly disrupt beetle habitats when drilling and have been fighting the American burying beetle's endangered status to avoid the high fees for destroying areas with beetles. Climate change may decrease survival of the American beetle by increasing nighttime temperatures, keeping the beetles inactive. We may never know the exact reason the American burying beetle disappeared, but the hope of their populations returning to their former size is disappearing with every passing day.
But their story doesn't have to end this way. While the beetle has disappeared from much of its historical range, the beetle still survives in portions of Rhode Island, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Nebraska. Not to mention, the American burying beetle also has stable reintroduction programs in Massachusetts, Missouri, and most recently, Ohio. Since 1994, Massachusetts has bred and established the beetle on Nantucket Island, but not without drawbacks. As we've seen, the American burying beetle needs appropriately sized carcasses such as birds to reproduce. With humans driving wild birds out of Massachusetts as a result of agricultural expansion, coastal disturbance, and habitat destruction, the beetle has lost much of its natural food supply, leaving it dependent on human assistance to maintain population growth. And Massachusetts beetles aren't alone with population troubles. Beetles in eastern Oklahoma are locked in a legal battle with oil and gas companies who are fighting to remove the beetle from the endangered species list to avoid multi-million-dollar beetle relocation fees. So has anything gone right with the beetles? Turns out conservation efforts are beginning to get ramped up for the little scavenger. Zoos in St. Louis, Missouri, Columbus, Ohio, and Cincinnati, Ohio have successfully bred thousands of these beetles in captivity, and in 2012, 240 of these were released in Missouri. Even in Oklahoma, despite the lack of zoos, the beetle is receiving some help. Large areas of land protected from human development called conservation banks are springing up to aid conservation efforts and protect the beetle from disturbances triggered by oil and gas industries. But what can you, as a student in Oklahoma, do to support these important insects? Many of the best ways to impact the American burying beetle revolve around environmental sustainability. Since the beetle is a generalist, general health of the environment equals general health of the insect. Instead of leaving lights on all night, save energy, money, and beetle lives by turning lights off. Artificial lighting confuses nocturnal insects, especially the beetle. Try installing birdhouses to encourage natural bird populations. These safe havens protect the birds from natural predators and encourage population growth. Greater populations of birds means more carcasses to provide food sources for the beetle populations. In addition to reducing light pollution and increasing available food, these beetles need your help in the voting booths. Vote smart. As you approach 18, consider supporting conservation and habitat rehabilitation plans. Healthy ecosystems will support this beetle for years to come, and regulation on pesticides could prevent beetle death. By being more mindful of impacts on the environment, you can do your part to help save the American burying beetle from disappearing completely.